Now, if there's one person that's been the most honest about Indiana Jones 5, The Dial of Destiny, it has to be no other than Harrison Ford himself, the star of the show, and exactly what's been going on behind closed doors, what fans can expect, and I think a lot of that has to do with just how Harrison Ford's personality is, based on what he has done before in the past. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support, and let's get right into the situation and what's going on here between Harrison Ford and Kathleen Kennedy. Now, we know that Kathleen Kennedy has been having a rough 2 days ever since the Indy 5 world premiere, and there's various reasons because of that. And a lot of it has to do with how Steven Spielberg himself literally snubbed Kathleen Kennedy on stage. Alright, now I'm sure that you guys know the entire story, and Harrison Ford recently did something very similar. We're going to be going over every single tiny detail about what he had to say about Kathleen Kennedy, what he had to say about the Indiana Jones franchise, and Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny specifically. Now, this brings us to the world premiere of Indy 5, and more surrounding Harrison Ford. Now, as you all know, Harrison is a very bold actor. I mean, a very blunt actor. He says whatever comes to his mind, either for better or worse. A lot of times it's probably not for the best, but in this scenario, I do believe it is for the best, because it shows you honesty, it shows you what most likely Spielberg and Harrison Ford are thinking on a very equal level, so let's dive into this. Now, with Harrison Ford recently actually becoming more direct with the fans of Indiana Jones for Indy 5 and its marketing, he went on to discuss something crucial that involves Kathleen Kennedy. Harrison Ford delivered the following in a recent interview surrounding Indy 5. Well, to me, there are only 3 people, or 4, who truly made the Indiana Jones franchise to where it stands today as a success. And I don't mean to sound overconfident, but I really did contribute to that success of these 3 movies. We can't forget about myself, Steven Spielberg, and as well as George Lucas and John Williams, who made the magic of emotion happen in these films. I don't usually look at producers, because I still say to myself, what in the hell does a producer even do? Do you guys even know? Because I don't know. The names I mentioned are the real people that made these into a great success, and as far as I'm concerned, there are only 3 Indiana Jones films that really capture the lightning in the bottle. You are never going to get that again. Ever. Not in a million years, and not after that. Myself, Spielberg, Lucas, and Williams were the major players in making that work for our audience, and I couldn't be more proud of the turnout the past few decades. Now let me stop here very quickly before I get to the next thing that he says. I don't want to take too much of your time up, but what Harrison Ford said here almost alludes to what Spielberg did on stage last night at the Indiana Jones 5 world premiere, or 2 nights ago, my correction. Basically, Spielberg snubbed Kathleen Kennedy. He mentioned congratulating the Indiana Jones franchises and its success to Harrison Ford, George Lucas, and just as he was about to announce the last person, Kathleen Kennedy felt it was about her time, and he mentions John Williams. She stops clapping when he mentions John Williams. This is completely snubbing Kathleen Kennedy once more. Harrison Ford did something similar, where he's literally kind of mocking the role of a producer, saying, what in the hell does a producer even do? I don't know about you guys, but this brings me back to when he was questioned about Star Wars, especially with The Rise of Skywalker, where he made fun of the Episode 9 scene where Ben Solo sees the vision of Han Solo. Everybody thought it was a Force ghost. It wasn't at the time, by the way. It was a vision. There were some fans that thought it was a Force ghost, and there was a correspondent that questioned Harrison Ford. You know, what do you think about your Force ghost in Episode 9? It was really a vision, though. So this interviewer didn't really know what she was talking about, but she asked him about that, and he goes, I don't know what in the F Force Ghost even is, and I don't care. He literally said that. He's very blunt. He's a very blunt actor. Like I said before, either for better or worse when it comes to PR or promoting a movie. He really is very directly honest with the fan base. So this, I think, is something for the better, because it shows you that he just does not care about Frank Marshall, who, by the way, produced all the Indiana Jones movies alongside Kathleen Kennedy. Let's not forget about that. He absolutely refused to mention her name, especially mocking the role of a producer here. Moving on, we're not done yet. He goes on to state further, myself, Spielberg, Lucas, and Williams were the major players. Again, Indiana will and always will be my favorite character. I think the only actor that pulled off a successful return at an older age was Sean Connery as James Bond. So I'm not quite sure how Indiana is going to resonate with fans or our audience in this one at such an older age with this movie. I just don't know how, but we will see. Now, separate from what Ford stated, he completely snubbed both Kathleen Kennedy and Frank Marshall here. Marshall produced all Indiana Jones movies in the past alongside Kathleen Kennedy and went on to mock the role as a producer. This is near similar, by the way, to what we mentioned before of how Spielberg snubbed Kathleen Kennedy on stage, which may have been completely intentional. Ford is also reportedly unhappy with the Indy 5 ending, since it was, of course, 100% not focused on him and a proper send-off. So again, guys, I am heavily starting to believe here that Spielberg and Harrison Ford are in on this. As crazy and as much as a crazy thing it might sound to even mention that, I think they may have done this on purpose. I mean, what are the odds? You have Spielberg on the night of the Indy 5 world premiere snubbing her on stage, and then here you have Harrison Ford doing pretty much the same exact thing in a more direct way. And literally saying, I don't know what in the hell a producer even is or what they do. Do you know? Because I don't know. Now, I find that really funny and hilarious. So, when you look at Harrison Ford, it's unfortunate, but if I were him, I would have never signed this contract to become a part of Indiana Jones 5. I would have never, not in the longest time, have accepted this. At that age, when you're 80 years old, I would be thinking more about my legacy rather than money. I mean, this guy's got all the money in the world. Why would you want to take up the role again, potentially leaving on a bad note? You know, again, no less. You know, you left on a bad note with Indy 4. Why would you want to leave on an even worse note? You know, I think that everything should have stopped with The Last Crusade. It was a beautiful father and son story, and if you think about it, it really followed the same route of the original Star Wars trilogy. It ended with a whole father and son story. I don't know if you guys even realize that, but that is what George Lucas wanted to do. He wanted similarities. So anyways, guys, I would love to hear what you all have to say about Harrison Ford and his view of producers really snubbing Kathleen Kennedy here and really just mocking that role in the film industry and how he just left her out, as well as Frank Marshall, out of the success of these Indiana Jones movies. Anyways, guys, I would love to hear your opinion on this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.